Hi, Bombshell! So today we're going to talk about how I'm feeling in the part 2 of the luteal phase. So if you watch my luteal video, you know there's two parts to this phase. And I'm in the second part, which is essentially what we think of as our premenstrual week, so like right before you have your period. And what I love about the work we're doing together is that we are putting new light on what this week is all about. Where when you hear other women talking about their PMS symptoms, you're going to be like, girl, like that's a thing in the past, not cool to take with us through life anymore, and you don't need it. So last month I actually felt more, I like gauge how I'm feeling month to month instead of like day to day. You know, definitely try to tune into my body and like flow with how the day is going. But I always like analyze how I am from one phase to the next based on like the week that I'm in. So I'm like, okay, how am I feeling right now in this phase based how I felt last month? And so I test like so many things in my body and life to help, you know, myself and clients and you just to be able to help like tune in. So I had like taken myself off of a few supplements that I had been taking that actually like really worked for me, but I was trying to test to see if my body still needed them. And last month I definitely noticed like, girl, it's not working. And the same with some food that I had been doing. So I think I had mentioned in a previous vlog that I, you know, definitely am sensitive to like beans, can't really do sweet potato. There's just like all these things that I like can't do. So I definitely recommitted myself back on the paleo diet, which has been making me feel so good. And so that's just, you know, something that helps me. That's not all women. Um, you know, just based on your hormones, you don't have to eat paleo if that doesn't feel good for you. If you're vegan or vegetarian and beans feel really good, then you should absolutely be eating them. They're really great and give your body so many nutrients, but it just wasn't working for me. And that's okay. It's just recognizing, you know, I just am pretty sensitive to these foods and it's fine. So by taking myself off of, you know, any foods that were causing me to have a lot of these sensitivities actually helped this week right now feel so much better. So all the work that I had been doing the weeks before, I can definitely feel right now because as we get our period, it's kind of like our monthly like report card to be like, how are my food habits working for me? How is my fitness? How is my lifestyle? How, you know, am I choosing the right things in my life? Even just how I spend my time, is that working for me? And we get those answers right before and during our period. So I always try to be really mindful this time. I'm constantly asking my clients, like, what symptoms are you having? Like, please tell me, like, every single day what you're dealing with so I can, you know, you can help pinpoint what's going on, which is like the power of cycle syncing. And so just knowing your phases and like when symptoms are coming up, it's just so great to like backtrack. So today I woke up and I was feeling very energetic. Felt like working out this morning, so I did like a short HIIT workout, and that's great because I'm essentially at a point where I should be like scaling back a little bit. And I didn't do like balls to the wall type deal, but I still was able to have that kind of workout and have the energy to be able to do it, which felt really good. And my body's been detoxing a little bit, and so this is like the only time that I'm okay with breakouts, because when you're detoxing and cleansing your system, those toxins really have nowhere else to go, so they'll show up on your skin. So I have had more breakouts in the past week than I did last month, because I really don't break out anymore. So it's to me a sign of like a weird way of my body congratulating me that I like am detoxing. So that has like certainly like happened, but I'm okay with it knowing that the work that I'm doing is actually helping my body rid all of these hormones that essentially I had been holding on to because I was testing so many different things. And you know, it then like reminds me of like why I need to stay on, you know, the program that I've set for myself, of why that works for me. And just knowing that, you know, moving forward with like food and stuff that feels really good versus still feeling like I kind of had to test things. I would kind of like beat myself up and being like, oh, well, you're supposed to, you know, I do a lot of reading on food. So it's like, okay, well, this is supposed to help you. This is supposed to make you feel good. And then you kind of go about your day after you've eaten something. And then you kind of are like, no, actually, that's not working for me whatsoever. So just because I had to like let go of this, just because someone else thinks that it works for them doesn't mean that it's actually going to work for me. So I really try to empower myself and question what's going on and what I'm putting in my body and just what actually feels good to me. And I feel like that's like a lot to let go of because we're trying to just kind of hang on to what everyone else thinks we should do instead of recognizing it and in here and then standing like strong for that. So I had like started taking a few other supplements to really help my body based on what it needs. And so cycle syncing for me helped me pinpoint what that is and how I could figure out and do my research on the supplements that my body would need based on how my hormones were fluctuating. And just getting to the root cause of all of that just helps alleviate all of those things. Where right now, before my period, like I'm not having any of the, irritability or emotional stuff. Like I feel very calm, like a very serene um, attitude, which feels really good, which is nice. So you kind of just approaching your day of like, okay, this is just my life. Okay, I'm just going to go and do this. I, can go out about my day and do the work that I want to do. And so that just feels really good because ladies, like it's not always like that, right? Like we don't always have that. And that's like a sign that your body's like congratulating you of being like, girl, like you're tuning in, you're moving forward what feels good to you, and you're not apologizing about it. You're just being who you are. Um, so just always tuning into food, I feel like is one of our biggest things because some things we don't know can like really impact us. And I had a story that I wanted to share with you, and I'm like blanking on it right now, and I will try to remember it because I thought that you would enjoy it so much. And like that's also one of my problems. I don't always write things down, so it's always like in my head. And now I'm like, no, girl, like if you don't write things down, like you're not gonna remember them. So that one's on me. Um, but just having this conversation too about, I guess, how we are as women and how the world sees our emotions, and um, that's usually like the PMS week is usually what most people think of when they think of women, or like hormonally being off. But just to feel empowered to know that you can not experience those just based on the way that you take care of yourself, and how that will fit in with your lifestyle, I think is really powerful. So I guess my main message today of how I'm feeling and what's going on is just understanding that how you take care of yourself leading up to the phase you're in right now can alleviate these symptoms as you keep moving forward and taking care of yourself the best way that you need to. Because everyone else is going to have an opinion on what your body should be, or what you should eat and what you should do, but the only opinion that ever matters is yourself. And so if I listen to all these people that tell me, you should be eating more carbohydrates in this form to be able to get the results that you want. And it's like, for me, like, no, most of my carbohydrates have to come from fruit and vegetables because I actually have so many sensitivities to these other grains and seeds, or, carbohydrates that we then think of as normal. And for me, I just try to, tune in of what's normal for my body. And your body better than anyone else, and how you want it to feel, and just using food as a form of empowerment, and then not beating yourself up of like, oh, I shouldn't have that happen or whatever. But one thing that happened, I do now, I remember what I was going to tell you about, so that's good. So I don't know if this ever happens to you, where right before you get your period you kind of get ravenous, like maybe like a day or two like leading up from the week to your period. So I now know, like, it was like a few days ago, I was just hungry. I couldn't seem to get full. Like, I couldn't eat enough no matter what I was then eating. And so sometimes I tune in, I'm like, okay, well, is there a nutrient that you're not getting that your body's continually asking for because you didn't get it? Or, what's going on? And so now, like, this has come up month after month where I'm like, okay, I know I'm a week out from my period when I go through this day or two of just being hungrier. My body just needs more calories. And so instead of like judging my thoughts and like picking myself apart of like, no, Laura, you already ate lunch, you shouldn't be hungry, or judging myself like to that extent of being like, well, what are you doing? You're going to fail on your goals, or it has to be this way. That's me being too masculine energy driven and not actually listening to my body. Because our body actually needs more calories right before we have our period, because it's actually quite a process our body goes through to menstruate, and it takes more energy from our body, which is why we might be more likely to be tired, but we actually need more calories. And so when I learned that, I was like, oh, like this is just this is a great way to just take that pressure off myself and just being like, okay, if I need more food, then I need more food. How am I going to fuel my day with the foods in which that I need, instead of thinking that I am not enough somehow, or I didn't do something enough, or I did something wrong. We always try to be perfect and we try to please all these people, when it's like it actually goes into our thoughts and how we even associate that with food and stuff. Um, so I felt really good where I was just like, okay, I'm ravenous right now. That's cool. I just need to eat bigger meals, and I need to, maybe eat more frequently throughout the day. That doesn't mean that I'm then going to fail. And I now know I'm a week out from having my period, and that to me is a predictable indication of being able to predict that and knowing when it's coming. Because my cycle hasn't always been predictable. So that's something that I've struggled with, and it would be consistent for a little bit, and then it would be like thrown off for a month, and that could very well be with me testing so many different things. But just recognizing that that has been a pain point in myself, that I'm really going to celebrate that little win of recognizing what the signs my body gives to be able to tell me when something's going to happen. And it's also like a great way to, you might pick these up as you go throughout the month, these little indications that you then get of knowing exactly where you're at in your cycle. And that's so empowering, because you can just be like, okay, I'm hungrier for a day or two, my period is this many days out, or because it very well could be different for you. Just because it's a week for me, it might be like 2 or 3 days for you. It's just like all of our bodies are very different in that sense, because we're not all on like the same monthly cycle. A woman's cycle ranges from 21 to 35 days, and like that obviously is a wide range for so many of us. So for me, it's a week out, and it's just a good indication of like, hey, you're on track, this is what's happening, your body's clicking in here, like keep going, girl. So I try to like, use my body as a form of like my best cheerleader, I guess. So I thought you might appreciate that, because it's just, being able to tune into that. And then I also noticed that I, for like 2 to 2.5 weeks, I feel really good eating 4 times a day. So I'll only eat like 3 square meals and have a snack, and that's all my body wants. But as I shift into the later part of my luteal phase and into my menstrual week, my body actually wants to eat 5 to 6 times a day and in smaller portions. And it's like my body just can't handle like a bigger meal. So I'll wake up and have something very small, and then maybe a light snack later, and then lunch and a snack, and then dinner. And sometimes after dinner I might just still need something because I'm eating such smaller portions throughout the day. So I really have to let go of myself and the judgment of that. But I allow my body to tell me like, hey, for the next few days, you're going to want to eat 5 times instead of 4. And then just how can you shift? Because I am definitely like type A, and like try to have like a structure and a plan. And my body's like, no girl, you can have like this plan at this part of the month. Here's your plan at this part of the month. And then here's how you need to do it like in these other like segments. And so I think that can be so confusing for us, because like we might want to be the same way every single day, but our body's like, not going to happen. But at least with cycle syncing, it gives that predictability, so you can actually plan ahead and plan accordingly. So like, if you're traveling, you can be like, okay, this is where I'm at. I know my body is going to need, smaller meals versus big ones. How can I prepare for that? Or like, hey, I actually just want bigger meals at this time, and like that's cool. So it's just so fascinating still of like how our bodies are just ebbing and flowing and shifting throughout the month. And I still get fascinated every time I talk about it, every time I think about it. And so there's just, where I'm at in my cycle right now, my daily thoughts. But just definitely, give me your comments and, any other questions you have, anything that you're noticing within your cycle and how that's working for you. Would absolutely love to hear from you and what's, going on within your body. So happy Tuesday, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.